It just doesn't end with Justin Trudeau. Tensions are rising again with India because Trudeau can't keep his mouth shut. He keeps poking fun at India. He keeps making just these snark remarks, and it's backfiring in the masses because pretty much all of India and the media in India and the government, it just doesn't care and have the time for Justin Trudeau. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Today, obviously, we're talking about Trudeau in India and how he's just a global clown and making Canada look horrible. And I just want to say to all the Indian viewers out there and all the new Indian subscribers, Canada is not represented by Justin Trudeau. He somehow is still our prime minister, but Canadians don't want him. Look at any polls. Look at 338 polling. Okay, it's our government polling. Trudeau is the most disliked person here in Canada. He does not represent Canadians, and nobody on this channel supports Justin Trudeau. You don't believe me? Look through the comments, look at the videos, look at the polls that I do on my community tab. Without further ado, let's get into this video here. This is Indian media just ripping into Trudeau.
Moving on, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau discussed the India-Canada row with the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He said that it's important to uphold and respect the rule of law. This was during a phone call that took place between the two leaders on Monday. Taking to social media platform X, the Canadian Prime Minister wrote, and this is a quote, "On the phone today, His Highness and I spoke about the current situation in Israel. We expressed deep concern and discussed the need to protect civilian life." He posted further that we also spoke about India and the importance of upholding and respecting the rule of law. This comes after UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Sunday urged for de-escalation.
Why would you do that? Why would you say, hey, India, we're all trying to help Israel. We're all trying to help and find peace. But India, respect the rule of law. Why would you do that? Why can you not just keep your mouth shut, you idiot?
The India-Canada row in phone conversations with Justin Trudeau. As per a statement by Downing Street, Rishi Sunak is hoping for a de-escalation and agrees to remain in contact with Trudeau regarding the next steps. Diplomatic ties between India and Canada are worsening after the Canadian government expelled a senior Indian diplomat. This after Canada accused India of playing a role in assassinating a Khalistani separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Canada. India also expelled 41 Canadian diplomats in a tit-for-tat move. The ministry spokesman Ardeen Dam Bakhchi said, and this is a quote, "Given the much higher presence of diplomats in India and Canada's interference in our internal matters, India seeks parity in respective diplomatic presences."
It's not a good look no matter how you try and spin it. And the fact that Trudeau just keeps doing it is horrible. And Indians and Indian media, they don't care for it, and they clap back, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. Justin Trudeau's gambit backfires, trolled for complaining about India. On social media, reactions were hilarious and overwhelmingly negative, calling him out for complaining about India. A recent incident adding to the growing list of controversies surrounding Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister is now being trolled for raising India with various global leaders. Trudeau on Saturday discussed India ties with the King of Jordan amid a huge row over the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The Canadian Prime Minister spoke with the King on Sunday and provided an update on the situation between Canada and India, underscoring the importance of respecting the rule of law and the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. This came hours after Trudeau spoke to UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed about India and the rule of law. On the phone today, His Highness and I spoke about the current situation in Israel. Trudeau's the type of guy to get offended in the middle of a war that people aren't using the right pronouns. Like, okay, we understand that the Hamas committed these atrocities, but it's actually they, them, and that's how the Hamas would like to be identified. Like, it's just very weird. Like Trudeau's out of his damn mind, okay? He's out of his mind. And it pisses me off that it feels like he's making phone calls to everybody behind their back, talking shit, trying to start things, and making sure that he's positioning himself. Like, it's a weird social thing that Trudeau's doing. And I'm not here for it. And Canadians don't appreciate the fact that he's doing that. They don't respect Justin Trudeau. And we are sick and tired of this man doing this over and over again. And now this is the response that Indians have had. Indians are like photoshopping or whatever they're doing. These stupid, hilarious replies that Justin Trudeau did not actually do, but they're making it look like he did because they're just having fun with it. On the phone today, I spoke with a polite young man from Bahaj Finance about a non-EMI personal loan for purchase of an iPhone 15 Pro Max. I also spoke about India and the importance of upholding and respecting the rule of law. And this comes after his stupid side remarks talking about the war in Israel. And I also spoke with India and upholding the rule of law. I got a call from Airtel postpaid executive in India who informed me that if I hadn't paid the bill for September, I told them that there must be a mistake since I don't have an Airtel number and I reside in Canada, not India. He apologized, to which I replied, "No worries, I'm glad you called." Following that, we spoke on various issues. We addressed our deepest concern and discussed the need to protect civilian life globally. We also spoke about India and the importance of upholding and respecting the rule of law. 4.4 million views. Like, I don't know. This is just funny. Funny ass Photoshops, and everyone's just laughing about it in the comments. Justin Trudeau's diary. On my recent trip to India, I got stranded there for 2 extra days. I was scared that Indian government might be considering me a Khalistani agent, so I secretly ordered food from Zomato instead of eating what Modi arranged for me. Later, I got a call from Zomato delivery guy who politely asked for my exact location. I explained to him the secret location, and I told him about India and the importance of upholding and respecting the rule of law. Like, it just doesn't end. This is going to go on and on and on forever. Which is why Trudeau's ratings are at an all-time low, and India is certainly not helping that. India is making sure that every Indian around the globe, every Canadian Indian, every person who speaks those languages, I don't know, Indian language, is aware that Trudeau is a buffoon, that he's an idiot, and that he just is a dumbhead. And well, here in Canada, we all know that. So we don't need a foreign country to tell us that. We all know that Trudeau is an idiot. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau's ratings have hit an all-time low after he made the allegations of India's involvement in the death of the Khalistani terrorist. NDTV tied up with Cluster Consulting to carry out extensive poll in Canada. Ties between India and the country are at their lowest after Prime Minister Trudeau alleged in the Canadian Parliament last month that Indian government agents played a role in the killing of Khalistani terrorists. Canada has offered no evidence or substantiated the claim, which has been rejected by India as absurd and motivated. And that is crazy. That is crazy because now we're in a war, so we're not really talking about India. Everything's on Israel, Palestine, but more specifically the Hamas. And it's kind of concerning because Trudeau did make that claim. He did make the claim that the Indian government had everything to do with the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And can you get away with that? I don't know. Let's take a look here. You have on CTV, do Canadians believe Trudeau's claims India is tied to a Sikh leader's death?
Good to be here, Todd. Thank you.
The implications of this diplomatic drawdown by India.
Well, we're in uncharted territory, Todd, because diplomatic relations are governed by an international instrument called the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. That goes back to 1961. And there's nothing in there that suggests a drawdown, a unilateral drawdown imposed by the receiving state, or the word parity never shows up in that convention either. Now, I'm not an international lawyer, but I have a bit of experience internationally, and this has not been done. So we're really into a bit of a nerve games here, a nerve game looking ahead to Tuesday.
Yeah, when you talk about a nerve game, I wonder whether you think this is kind of a who blinks first situation, Senator.
Well, I don't know, and I think cooler heads should prevail, and obviously the volume has to be dialed down. I noticed that Foreign Minister Jaishankar of India was just in Washington, meeting with Secretary of State Blinken. Nothing in the communique suggests that they discussed this issue, but I'm pretty sure that they did behind the scenes. So I think Canada, too, has been reaching out initially obviously to India, through quiet diplomacy, to have a discussion about this, to see how we can cooperate. Obviously, that did not work. There are other countries who have been involved one way or another in helping on the intelligence and security side. These are within the Five Eyes community. So I'm assuming that there's a lot of discussion going on behind the scenes.
Should we be worried, Senator, that India is acting like a bully here?
Well, worry in the sense that this has not been tried before, and if a receiving state can unilaterally say, without declaring personnel persona non grata, which is the term that is used, if they can unilaterally say, okay, you've got to remove people, but not declare them persona non grata and not give them, not give cause for this, instead to say, well, it's parity and you have too many people, there's nothing in international law that suggests that they can do that. So maybe this is a bit of an overreaction. Maybe it's part of the power projection that India wants to undertake in showing how it can demonstrate to wealthy countries and others that it is in control of this situation. Maybe it is a fit of pique. I don't know, but the temperature certainly has to be dialed down, because if you move in this direction, who is to say that other countries can't do the same thing, and diplomatic personnel might simply not be safe and have the privileges and immunities that are accorded to them under the convention that I mentioned.
What would your advice be for the Prime Minister amid all this?
I think, well, my advice, and I'm sure this is the advice that he and Minister Joly are getting, is let's keep trying, talking to our friends, talking to Indian authorities as directly as we can, or through others, to come to the table. It might be a quiet table, it might be a rather stern table as well, and discuss this particular issue. And attempts were made, as I said beforehand, both on the part of the National Security Advisor and the Director of CSIS, to engage with their Indian counterparts and to demonstrate that we have an issue here that needs to be resolved. And there is some pretty compelling evidence that suggests that a murder and assassination was conducted on Canadian soil of a Canadian at the behest of another country.
We've been covering this for the better part of 3 weeks. I know you've been following very closely. Are you concerned, Senator, this might get worse before it gets better?
Well, I think it might very well get worse, and I understand that some staff have been repositioned. That makes sense. That's the prudent thing to do in terms of the duty of care that should be offered by the government and by Global Affairs Canada to its personnel abroad. But how it could get worse is obviously on the visa, consular, and immigration front. We have a tremendous relationship with India. We're one of the oldest democracies in the world, and India is the largest one, and we have people-to-people contact that is almost unrivaled, and that's also why we have a fair amount of diplomatic staff there. Many of them are not analysts or eyes and ears or traditional diplomats. Many are those who process visas and immigration cases and student visas. So this is going to impact as well our population in Canada of Indian origin in terms of the connection they would have with their families and with friends and with people who are going back and forth.
In retrospect, do you think it was wrong for Canada to take on or call out a regional superpower like India in such a public way?
Well, I think I go back to 2003 when Mr. Chrétien, then the Prime Minister, stood up in the House of Commons and said that Canada would not join the Second Iraq War with the United States. So if a Prime Minister goes into the House and makes a statement, it's very different than at a press conference. He is speaking to the people of Canada in the tribune of the people. So obviously it is a very serious matter, and that is why Mr. Trudeau announced it in the House. You can't do this through Twitter, X. You can't do it through social media or through a press conference. If it's a matter of great national security and gravity, that's where you announce and explain to the nation what is going on.
I know a lot of Canadians confused over this story, Senator, as they've been following it, thinking India is a close ally and a friend. In many ways it is. But as you know, there's also what many call a nationalist populist leader in power, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who doesn't seem all that interested in what Canada has to say on this issue. What are the implications of that, the Indian government that's currently in power?
Well, we have, as Canada, many connections with the Indian government and also with the subnational governments, the state governments in India through our provinces and the like. So the people-to-people ties are important. There are many things where in the past we have collaborated very closely with India and continue to do so, certainly on science. During the pandemic, that was very evident. But there are also areas where we have disagreed. And if you look at the historical relationship, India, to detonate its first nuclear bomb, used plutonium that had been produced in a Canadian research reactor that had been given to India. That was not the purpose. So the relationship, ironically then, with Pierre Trudeau went into a nosedive. And we had to recover from that. There was the Air India bombing, of course, which was also significant in the sense of how it impacted bilateral relations. So we've had our ups and downs, but we still keep talking. And if there ever was a moment where we should keep talking, it certainly is this one.
Senator Peter Boehm joining us from Ottawa. Senator Boehm, thank you for taking the...
It really feels like it's approaching the end of times. It feels like everything that has gone wrong, all of the wrong doings of relationships, these tit for tat moments, making friends with the friends of the enemies and all of that stuff. It feels like that all matters more than ever now. And in my group of people that I talk to with family and friends, everyone's pretty worried. Everyone is very worried. And I see a lot of people are pretty worried online. And if that's how you're feeling, I think it's very much justified. The war in Russia and Ukraine, obviously thousands, hundreds of thousands potentially of casualties that should have just never happened. And we're seeing the same thing right now with acts of terror. And I don't have the answers, unfortunately. This isn't some motivational speech to send you off of this video feeling a little bit better about yourself. It just feels like what's happening now is going to go from, well, has already gone from 0 to 100 way faster than what seems to be have happened with the war, Russia and Ukraine. And it feels like it's going to get worse. And it feels like this is something that hasn't really ever happened to this extent, where the entire world is really divided on this issue. We're talking about religion. We're talking about land ownership. We're talking about things that are beyond the scope of what we've ever had to experience here in North America. And there's a lot of countries that are backing Palestine. And then the other half of the world is also backing Israel. So it's a very much 50-50 split. It feels like 50-50 split on this issue. And that's how a world war is caused and or created. So if you're afraid, yeah, you have every right to feel so. I think we're going to start adding in some preparation things. For those who don't know, I lived in a van for like 4 years, powered by solar. So I know a little bit about that. Also, I was in the military. And so I think we're going to start getting into more like self-sustainability stuff. I would like to start, bringing on some products that are more for off-grid living, just because what if the power goes out? I mean, what if shit hits the fan? Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? So make sure to stay tuned, folks. There's a lot of great upcoming things that I have kind of in motion and ideas and plans for. So you're going to want to subscribe. You're going to want to turn those post notifications on. And you're probably going to want to grab your I did not see that coming sticker down in the description or the pinned comment below. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.